All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the Spoken Studios by myself. Just kidding. It's the two of us. I should make it official. But Trevor's not here tonight, guys. It's a time to have fun with the kids. It is a time to have the festive, experiences with the families. And so I'm going to be here hanging out with you guys because I have no life at all. And apparently neither do you because you're hanging out with me who has no life. So this is a great thing, guys. This is our Christmas. And speaking of that, I hope that everything has gone well for you guys. I hope that yesterday was a safe day for everybody. Hope you guys all had a great time with your family, your friends, the people that you love, people that you don't love. I don't know what you guys are into these days, but nevertheless, we are here now. And we're going to talk some football. We're going to talk some great things. We got a lot to discuss. We got a lot of things to clear up. I think that there are discussions to be had that are going to be had now and moving forward that we're going to have to discuss today in particular, because I think that they're about as relevant as it gets to anything with the Chiefs right now and moving forward. I'm going to make sense of that in just a moment, guys. And I hope that you guys are ready for that. I really do appreciate you making time for us on this Friday night. I see there's already been a live chat. Our guy Steve Ledbetter, Dustin Norton, of course, is in here as well. Merry Christmas to you guys. Thank you for already being in the chat. Definitely want to get to everybody that I possibly can today because I am not as interesting as some of you guys may actually think I am. So I don't want to just hear myself speak. I want to get to your guys' questions, topics, concerns, takes, all the fun stuff that you guys might have for us tonight. You guys are the most important part of the show, and I don't say that to just say that. I say that because it's the truth, which is why we want to, give you guys the opportunity to go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel there. We're almost to 700 subscribers. It's not a lot, but that's what we're trying to grow this thing right now on that side of things. We're trying to monetize things on the YouTube side of things. So if you guys would be so kind and just the beautiful people that you are, and go over there on the YouTube side of things and hit subscribe, hit like, notify, all the fun buttons they got for you. But the one I want you to hit the most is the one I ask you to hit every single week, and that is the comment button, because I want you guys to be a part of this show. I want you guys to feel like you're a part of the show because you are a part of the show. This is a community-driven show. We don't talk at you. We talk with you. So join in. If you're somebody that just wants to chill, just wants to sit back and not talk, just want to enjoy the show, by all means, that is great, and I appreciate you just as much. But if you're somebody that does have a thought, an opinion, a take, a question, concern, whatever it is, come hang out with us tonight. There's a lot of other great shows out there, and I appreciate every one of you guys who decided to choose us tonight. And I also want to give a shout out to our guys at All Chiefed Up for hooking me up with this Merry Chiefsmas shirt. As you guys can see, their logos right there. I always represent the brotherhood as much as I possibly can. All Chiefed Up, Chief Concerns, guys like that are always so supportive and loving to us here at the Spoken Podcast, and I very much appreciate them. Before we get into the show tonight, though, guys, I do have a couple things I need to address first and foremost that have to do with the Chiefs community. It's things that of course, at this time of year, it always seems like things happen, and it makes sometimes this time of year difficult for a lot of people. I completely understand that. Because he shared it publicly today, I feel compelled to do it here on our platform, because he shares this platform with me every Tuesday night on the 65 Toss Power Talk Show. My friend, my brother, Shaggy Shane Williams, lost his father today, Tiger Bob. I met him a couple of times, very quiet, very stoic man. But from everything I knew about him, he was a good-hearted person, and him and Shaggy had a really good relationship. Shaggy is very close to his whole family. He's obviously if you guys know Shaggy, you know why. He's a very family-oriented person, the most friendly, loving person you'll ever meet. And my heart absolutely hurts for Shaggy today. I didn't tell him I was going to do this, but I know that he'll be okay with it, because I know that he loves all you guys, and which is why I'm bringing this up. I hope that you guys can send him that love today too. So if you follow him on Facebook or you're on X with him, Instagram, whatever social platforms you guys have with Shaggy, I ask you, please, just for me at least, can you guys send him some love tonight? Because, I mean, Christmas just happened 24 hours ago. And to find that out about your father, man, I mean, as somebody who's lost a parent in my life, I know how tough that can be, especially losing that parent during Christmas season like I did as well. Um, you need all the love and support you can possibly get when this time of the year comes around, and being so fresh, and it being such a tough time for Shaggy and his whole family. I would just ask humbly that you guys send him some love tonight. He definitely needs it. And Shaggy, if you're watching this, you're listening to this, I know that you will at some point. You know I love you, brother, and I'm here for you guys. Whatever I can do for the Williams family, you know I'm available for you, brother, and I'll do whatever I can to help you guys through this grieving process. So I wanted to put that out there, and I had this planned already as well, and it really sucks to add to the sadness of the show, but a few weeks ago, rather, we had gotten the unfortunate news that Big Charlie Saloon owner Paul Stako, or Paulie as we called him, passed away. We obviously all know about that, and we're still grieving through that as well. But a couple of weeks ago, I got the information, and I was told not to share it, but now that I can, because they've announced it on their social platforms, and I'll put it here on the screen so you guys can see the unfortunate news regarding Big Charlie Saloon and their future. So this is from their Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook account. It's a joint statement. It says, "It is with the heaviest of hearts that we share this message with our Big Charlie's family. Big Charlie Saloon is now permanently closed following the devastating passing of our owner, Paulie. While this was not how we ever imagined closing our doors, we know Big Charlie will never be the same without Paulie, and this is the path we must take. We are deeply grateful for the outpouring of kindness, prayers, messages, and support you have shown during this unfathomable time. Your compassion has carried us through days we never thought we would face. We continue to find ways to honor Paulie's legacy and the community he built. This is not goodbye. It is simply see you later. Wishing you all peace this holiday season, and thank you for being a part of our family. As always, go Chiefs." So that sucks, and it sucks for the obvious reasons, but I completely respect the decision that the Big Charlie's is making. You can't replace Paulie, and my greatest regret is never being able to actually go out there and see the place for myself, and that is going to unfortunately haunt me for the rest of my life. We get in these tendencies of believing that we always have time for everything, and you kind of kick the can down the road, or you make a plan, but it's later down the road, and you never foresee what is in the road on the way there. So this is really unfortunate, but I did want to send that out there so everybody is now fully aware of what's going on. If you know any of the people at Big Charlie's, if you're in contact with them, if you have any of them on social media, continue to send them your love as well, guys. I've been trying to do my best to do that as well. I talked to Laura and I talked to Mikey yesterday, two of the just absolute pillars and cornerstones of that entire family and community out there. They're doing good, but I know this is a devastating time. I mean, no one could have predicted this happening, so it's just a really shitty deal all the way around, man. And again, it sucks that it has to happen around this time of the year as well, when you're supposed to be having fun and loving and enjoying your family and your friends and your loved ones. That's sometimes just not the reality of the situation for a lot of people. And I know that some of you guys out there can attest to that and can relate to that. So that's why I'm sending this to you guys, because I know what audience I'm speaking with. And I know that you guys are going to be supportive and loving to those that need it the most, because I know that's what we all need in those times. So, but with that said, we have things to get to tonight, and I hope the chat is ready to talk, because I'm ready to talk. And I think that, like I said, we're going to have a good show tonight. I think that there's going to be a lot to be said. It's not going to be the same without Trev tonight, but you know what, man? We have to make do with what we got. And as soon as this will work for me, because I don't know what the hell is going on with this damn thing. Let's see here. I apologize, guys. I'm trying to get my roll to roll, if you will. Let's see. Come on now. There we go. All right, guys. Without further ado, let's get to it. It is time for Lance Rants.
Gotta scream! Yeah! We're back to motion! The moon to the new beat! Woo!
So, there was a football game that took place last night or Thursday, whenever you're watching or listening to this. I think that we all had fairly low expectations for this one, not because of the fact of just the Chiefs having half their roster out along with their great quarterback Patrick Mahomes, but also the Denver Broncos come into this game fairly confident. I know they didn't have their best game before that against the Jaguars, but they came into this game, I think, winning 10 of their last 11 or 11 of their last 12, whatever it is, or however it went. The Broncos came in here with all the confidence in the world that they're going to take care of business. They came in as 13.5-point favorites, and that didn't happen. The Chiefs showed some life. They showed some fight, and I'll give the Chiefs a lot of respect for that. But you could see in large portions of the game, the only reason that game was really close was because of the fact that Bo Nix was Blow Nix. And they dropped touchdowns, and it just this Broncos offense is just not good, which is why I've been trying to tell people now for months that this team is not going to win when it matters the most. They let bad teams hang around far too often. They just don't have that difference-making quarterback. They have a hell of a defense, but they just don't have that difference-making quarterback, and he's going to be what hamstrings this franchise now and moving forward in my eyes and in my opinion. And I'm willing to be proven wrong. I just don't think the Blow Nix is going to do it to prove me wrong. But the biggest story of that game last night really wasn't the game in itself, but what the future of the Chiefs' first ballot Hall of Fame, dare I say the greatest tight end of all time, Travis Kelce, what the future of his career is looking like. And, coming into last season, these questions were starting to arise. Everybody knew, even though the Travis Kelce was, just coming off 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons, an NFL record for a tight end, and then this season he joins Jerry Rice as the only receiving player ever, only players ever, to have 12 consecutive seasons of at least 800 receiving yards. Kelce's been setting these records for years now. He's been putting himself up there with the greats, especially in the postseason. I mean, only Jerry Rice, I think, has more postseason touchdowns and yards. So when you're next to Jerry Rice at anything, whether it's postseason, regular season, shit, even preseason, we'll throw that out there. That's something to be proud of. But we knew of these last couple of years that the conversations about what's to come for Kelce, how much longer is he going to play, as it should. He's been in his mid 30s now for a couple of years. He's dating a massive mega superstar, Taylor Swift. Things are, going really well for Travis Kelce. He was in Happy Gilmore too. He's in that weird ass FX show. Like, he's done a lot of stuff outside of football, and he's got a lot more waiting for him once he's done with football. So the conversation, simultaneously became as relevant as it ever has been for a multitude of reasons. And coming into last season, coming into this season, the 2025 season, there was no question on my mind that Travis Kelce was coming back. I said on this show, Trevor and I talked on this show about it. I know the way the Super Bowl ended had to ignite that in him, and I really do believe that was why he came back, because he didn't want to end his career like that, and I get it. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But I do believe that if the Chiefs would have beaten the Eagles again in the Super Bowl, there's no question on my mind that Travis Kelce walks off into the sunset with that Lombardi, with his 4th Lombardi trophy. Because at that point, I mean, what else can you really do? I mean, could he come back for a potential, 4-peat? Sure. And we had that discussion as well. But I think the chances of him retiring after last season, if they finished the 3-peat, was really, really good. So the fact that didn't happen, and him feeling like they had like this unfinished business, and they were that close to getting, another Super Bowl victory, it made total sense for Travis Kelce to come back, along with the fact that he's still such a damn good, he's an elite tight end still. Like, he's easily one of the 3 to 5 best tight ends in this league. I wouldn't go as far as say he's still the best, but he's definitely in the top 3 to 5. Like, you couldn't name 5 tight ends right now that are better than Travis Kelce, even at his advanced age. He's top 5 in just about every single statistical category for tight ends. So the ability is still there. The love for the game, the drive to continue to be great is still clearly there for Travis Kelce. But this time's different. And I think that we all, if we really watch that game and the vibes around it, we really were honest with ourselves right now, we all know the vibes are different. And yes, obviously not even making the playoffs at all really does change things when it comes to vibes. But Travis Kelce and I are almost the exact same age. And as I'm getting older, I'm getting a lot more sentimental about stuff. Dare I say soft about a lot of stuff. Because you realize just how precious everything around you and everyone around you really is. Like the moment gets more and more real for you as you get older. When you're younger, you're not really thinking about, things ending. You're not really thinking about that because you got such a long runway with things. I guarantee you 7 to 8 years ago, there's no way Travis Kelce was, even 5 years ago, there's no way Travis Kelce was even considering retirement as, an option. Like it wasn't even in his foresight. There was nothing there. He was so fixated on life and living it up and winning Super Bowls with Patrick Mahomes. Like that just wasn't a part of the discussion. But as he's gotten older, now that he's seeing the writing on the wall, you can see it in his face and in his demeanor and just the way he was absorbing Arrowhead for what it was last night. And man, props to Chiefs Kingdom, dude. Like seeing Arrowhead, knowing that game meant really nothing. In fact, losing makes a lot more sense for the Chiefs moving forward. Seeing that house on Christmas Day packed, absolutely packed, was nothing short of incredible. And I got to be honest with you guys, that moved me as a fellow Chiefs fan. I've heard so many negative things about Chiefs fans and how it's new money around here and how, the fan base grew the moment Patrick Mahomes took over. Instances like that and growing up as a Chiefs fan with all the heartbreaking playoff losses to see the house, be sold out for an 18-year span consecutively, that's the stuff that puts all that to bed, that silences those irrational and illogical critics. But back to Travis, man, I hate to be the guy that says it, and I already was saying it last night on Twitter and on Facebook, but I want to get out ahead of it and just say thank you to the big old 8-7 for what he has done for this team, because his career is coming to an end, guys. I truly believe that was the last game that he's ever going to play at Arrowhead Stadium. Travis Kelce last night, in a losing effort, catching passes from 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙴, as odd as that all has been, as odd as this season has been, in my opinion, and I really do strongly just believe, based on how he was acting, how he was talking, and just everything that surrounds it. Taylor showing up to the game when the game meant nothing. Mama Kelce's there, like his suite's packed out. It all just really, really resoundingly sounds like this is the end. And look, I'll address this. If Travis decides to come back next season, I'm not going to be pissed off by any means, because watching a legend play football and having the GOAT-to-GOAT connection for another year would be awesome. But I've also told you guys that I think from a football perspective, this just makes the most sense for this team moving forward. Travis Kelce's given this team everything he could for 13 years. I think it's run its course. And as much as we don't like to see things end, guys, trust me, I get it. The dynasty's not ending. It's just going to change. It's going to have a little bit of a different look to it. And I think that's a great thing moving forward. I think that actually betters their chances, as crazy as it sounds. It betters their chances of winning more Super Bowls. Not that Travis Kelce is slowing them down or keeping them from winning. Obviously, he's been a key catalyst in this team doing anything they've done. They couldn't do it without Travis Kelce. But we know that this league and teams and the way to win always evolve in this league. It's a constant evolution. And I don't think that the way the Chiefs have played primarily on offense is going to be sustainable moving forward. It's not going to be a winning formula moving forward. You saw that on full display this year, that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce being the primary mind meld of the offense, that's not what gets them back to Super Bowls anymore, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe Travis Kelce says, fuck it, let's go for another round, and the Chiefs get right back to where they've been over the last 7-8 years. I'll gladly be wrong about that. But if we're going to be honest here, guys, the fact that Travis is a free agent after this season, the fact that he's going to be 37 next year, the fact that he's got so much going for him outside of football, the fact he's won 3 Super Bowls, went to 5, went to 7 consecutive AFC championships, had 7 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, outside of Jerry Rice, is the greatest postseason performer of any receiving player in the history of this game. The fact that he is the greatest tight end who's ever played this game, who's played it at a higher level for longer than any player that's ever played this game. What really does he have left to play for? Sure, like I heard Nick Wright today on First Things First talk about how he's kind of wish casting this scenario where Travis announces his retirement in a month or two, right? And then next December, you hear rumblings that, hey, Travis Kelce's thinking about maybe rejoining the team because the Chiefs are, 8-2 or 9-1 or whatever the fact is, hopefully at that point or a little bit, later in the game. And Travis wants to come back and maybe give him a hand in the postseason. That all sounds really nice, but I'm gonna be real with you. I've always viewed Travis Kelce as the type of guy that when he's done, he's done. Because I've heard him say in multiple interviews, and I know you guys have as well, he always talked about he wants to play until the wheels fall off. Well, he may have been talking about himself. Or maybe he was talking about what they all are right now. And I think this season has shown you the wheels did fall off. Now, they can repair the wheels and get new wheels and be Hot Wheels again. But I just think that there's a lot of other opportunities for Kelce moving forward that are outside of football to where he doesn't have to put his body through what he's put his body through with all the surgeries he's had to just withstand all the injuries and all the issues he's had with his body and being able to go out there and get for 13 years, man. I mean, that's a lot on a guy, and I think that he's confident or he's content with what he's accomplished in his career as an individual and as a team player. And I don't want to speak for Trevor. He's not here tonight. And this is the biggest reason why I wanted Trevor on the show tonight. But obviously, like I said, he's got things going on. But, one thing Trevor and I did discuss during and after last night's game was, I was saying these things to Trevor. I'm like, dude, I really believe it's over. And, Trevor doesn't want to accept that and believe that. And I get it. That's his favorite player pretty much of all time, or at least the favorite Chiefs player outside of Tony Gonzalez. And, I understood where Trevor was coming from because, Trev and a lot of other people are saying, like, there's just no way Travis Kelce's going to go out like that. He can't end his career catching passes from Chris 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 in a meaningless game against the Broncos, and they miss the playoffs. Like, there's just no way. I understand that. I understand why we're at that place where we're looking at this from the, finish off your career at the peak. You think of guys like Jerome Bettis, his final game in the NFL, winning the Super Bowl, but not only winning the Super Bowl, winning his only Super Bowl, and winning it in his hometown of Detroit. I mean, that's about as great as it gets. That's the epitome of riding off into the sunset. But how many other stories do you know like that? And I'm not just talking about football. I'm talking period. I mean, Michael Jordan's career didn't end like that. Kobe Bryant's career didn't end like that. Doesn't look like LeBron's career is going to end like that. I mean, again, I go down the line here, guys. Yes, you would love for your career to end on top. But that's almost always never the reality, if that makes sense, if I say that correctly. That's almost never the reality of the situation for great players, good players, whatever players. Like, that is not usually how it goes. And I don't think that's how it's going to go for Travis Kelce, guys. I would love nothing more than for him to hold that Lombardi trophy one more time and then announce that he's done. And that's just a beautiful way of going out. I'd love for it to last forever. That's not how it goes. And call me sentimental, call me soft, call me whatever you want, but I'm just relishing what he's given us. I'm relishing the fact that the greatest tight end and greatest quarterback I've ever seen play this game got to play together. And they won a lot. And I expect that quarterback, number 15, to win a lot more. But he's going to have to win a lot more without the guy that he's been winning a lot with so far through his career. It's going to take a lot of adjusting. It's going to be challenging for everybody involved in this franchise because Travis Kelce, in my opinion, is the biggest superstar in the history of Kansas City sports. I genuinely believe that. I think that Patrick Mahomes is going to go down as the most accomplished, the best player at his position, which is the most important position when it comes to superstardom and what he means to this fan base, what he means to just, Travis Kelce has become a global icon. He surpasses because Patrick Mahomes, although he's on State Farm commercials, things like that, he doesn't have the gravitas of a Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce has this superstar confidence and swagger and vibe to him. Like, I mean, obviously he's dating, like I said, an alpha female in Taylor Swift. You don't just go and meet women like that and just date them like that. Not that this is going to become some hotline for us to talk dating life, but you got to have a little bit of good to you. You got to have a little bit of that status yourself. And Travis Kelce's become that over these last several years, and it's only continually growing. And I think it's going to continue to grow when he steps away from football and focuses more on the entertainment side of things. I think him and his brother are going to continue to kill it at their podcast. I think that he's going to do a lot of more movies and shows and all kinds of stuff that he's going to be doing. He's only in his mid-30s when it comes to life. Life, he's still young. When it comes to football, he's a dinosaur now. But it's time, in my opinion. And I'm really interested to hear from you guys because obviously I'm taking up all the airway here. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this as well. And speaking of that, I want to get to some of these comments right now because I think that you guys are live as hell, and I appreciate it so much. Let's see here. I'm going to get to some of your comments because we have another topic to discuss regarding the Chiefs too well. Let's see. Our guy Aaron here. Let me put this on the screen. He says, dude, you need to delete this channel and start over. You have definitely been shadow banned. Your views should be so much higher, bro. I'm going to take that as a compliment. I appreciate that, man. I don't think we've been shadow banned. I just think that in a lot of ways, our show is just kind of an acquired taste. We're not one of those shows that are out there just putting out pud. We're not out there doing the milk and toast stuff, where it's just like, Chiefs are the best and woo. We talk about real things around here. And I think some of the, dare I say, casual fans don't like to eat that up sometimes. They don't like the truth bombs. They don't like to have real discussions. They just want to see a guy go behind a microphone, have fake reactions, and do the little thumbnails. You know what I mean? Like on the video, like, is Patrick Mahomes the greatest ever? We don't do that stuff here. You know what I mean? Like we're just a little bit different. Not dissing anybody that does that stuff. I'm just saying that's just not our style. And I think that it's just, sometimes it's not really people's taste sometimes. And it's okay with me, man. But we're going to continue to grow this thing because I know there's plenty of you guys out there that enjoy this. And I appreciate you, Aaron, for saying that. Let's see here. Our guy, Triple G Pick said, what's up? Sup to you, bro? ACU Misfit said, we're going to find a way to win against the Raiders, aren't we? I really hope not. Because winning that game does literally nothing for this team, except hurt their draft stock. So I'm going to say I hope not. Our guy John Harrison, our statistician here, puts this out here. Kelce has 839 yards and 5 touchdowns. Similar production to DK Metcalf, has 850 and 6 touchdowns. More catches for Kelce, 79 to 53. In other words, Travis Kelce has outperformed a guy that is 10 years younger than him. Insane. Let's see. Our guy Triple G Pig again says, losing record, winning record, don't matter to me. I'm going to be loud, baby. I appreciate that, man. I respect that as well. Let's see. Look at the man's face. Said it all. Yeah, so this our guy About Time 73 said, the look on his mom's face said it all. That is exactly what I'm talking about. I already had my mind made up on this whole situation. When you saw Mama Kelce and you could tell she wanted to cry, but she knew that there was probably cameras all over her. If she cries, that's the dead giveaway. You know what I mean? That is just the dead giveaway. To me, though, the dead giveaway was the way Kelce was looking. You saw, he took a little extra time on his introduction. You know what I mean? Him being last didn't really bother me because obviously Patrick Mahomes isn't playing, so your biggest star is going to be your last one announced. That wasn't really it. It was the way he came out and how slow it all was. And just like I said, it just feels different. And I like to believe that if Kelce was not seriously thinking about stepping away, that he would handle his media obligations a little bit differently as well, and he hasn't done that. Our guy John Harrison disagrees with me, I believe. He said he'd rather go out losing the playoffs than the way this year went. And I agree, John. You're not wrong. I guarantee you that Travis Kelce would rather lose a playoff game than lose like this and miss the playoffs entirely, and how he ends his career. I'm sure you're right. But my point is that I think that Kelce knew when he did this new restructuring of his contract a couple of years ago that he was going to give this team 2 more years. He's a very calculated individual. You can't be this successful off the field and on the field and not have a little calculation to you, not have a little bit of a game plan on and off the field. I have a very strong inclination, especially when he's the younger brother and saw how Jason handled things, the way he did it, it's going to be very similar to that effect. I think he's going to handle things very similar to how Jason did with his retirement. You know, there was questions kind of swirling around the year before. He decided to come back for one more run because he lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl that year previous. Then they lose to the Bucs, and I think it was the first round, if I'm not mistaken. And then we got the news. He was retiring because his contract goes up. He was 37. I think he was 37 at the time, yeah. Now Kelce's about to be 37 years old. It just all kind of ties in, man. And like I said, with him being a free agent, with the Chiefs having the cap structure issues they currently have, I think they're going to be well over $34 million initially as the new league year begins. $34 million over the cap, and they got a lot of restructures and cuts and things like that to do. I have a hard time believing a team that needs to get younger and cheaper and more athletic is going to sign on to adding back a 37-year-old tight end that's going to cost them at least $10 to $12 million on the low end. I mean, Kelce, I think, made 17 or 18 this year. Being as productive as he still is in the market he draws, you're going to have to pay him double digits in the millions next season to justify bringing him back, because that's not even worth his time. He ain't going to come in here for a vet minimum. I mean, that sounds great to fans, but that's not good business. In fact, that'd be dumb for him to do that. So everything points to this being the end, and it sucks, but I understand what John's saying. I know other people say that as well, but I think that it's showing it's very apparent that this is the end. Our guy Triple G Pick said again, I want to see him host SNL again. Trav is hilarious. Trav is hilarious. The jokes he had with him and Jason sitting there in the front as well about winning 2 Super Bowls, hilarious. I mean, he's got, like I said, he's got that gravitas to him. He's got good acting chops. He's got the confidence. He's got the looks. He's got everything, man. So this is that time, man, where things, start to shift in another direction for his second act. And I'm honestly really excited to see it. Our guy Bumpin' BP says, yeah, if he doesn't leave now, then I don't know what he's going to do. If Mahomes' injury is the perfect time to call it. You know what? I understand that. I think that's a fair point. I think the uncertainty surrounding Mahomes' injury, not the injury itself, is another incentive for Kelce to step away. The reason I'm saying that is because the Mahomes injury isn't going to, in my opinion, detract the Chiefs from being contenders next season, because Mahomes is going to return. Whether it's week 1 or early in September or whenever that is, if the Chiefs get this offseason right around Mahomes, they're going to be right back in Super Bowl contention. So I don't think it's the injury itself that would keep Kelce from coming back. Like if he was sitting here right now going, do I come back or not? Well, Patrick got hurt, so I probably won't. No, I don't think it's like that. We all know that Patrick is inevitably going to be returning next season. They said at the latest it's 9. I was talking to his aunt Tanisha on Tuesday's show, the 65 Toss Power Talk Show, and she was saying that it's upwards of 9-month injury. Well, 9 months from the injury is September. So I don't think it's the injury itself. Let's see here. This is our guy, Noah John Marshall. Chiefs should be trying to convince Kelce to come back. They need more weapons on offense, not less, for the right price, of course. No, I get what you're saying. The look of losing Kelce sounds like a negative. And in some ways, it actually might be. But I just continue to see this from a different perspective. I think the Chiefs are better off moving off of Travis Kelce. And it's not because he's not a good player anymore. He still is. Like I said, guys, he's still a top 5 tight end. But my whole theme for this offseason is the Chiefs changing their mentality in so many different ways. They got to change their mentality on how they draft wide receivers. They got to stop getting these little midget, speedsters. The way that they avoid, getting legitimate pass rushers. Sometimes it's not their fault because they keep drafting late in the first round. This time they're not. But they've just continued to not hit there. The running back position, they've avoided that. They haven't, taken a running back early in the draft in years. there's a lot of issues on this team, but I think that the mentality has to change also on how they run their offense, schematically. And like I said, I think that we've now seen that there were so many flaws that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and their ability to just have that innate chemistry, it covered so much of it up to where the team almost felt like they didn't really have to stress themselves out to go and spot fill here and spot fill there. They can kind of stay cheap here. They can wait till the 6th or 7th round to take that position. And I don't think that's good for the team moving forward, guys, because whether Kelce, retires this year or next year, he's gone in the next year or two anyway, guys. Like, even at the most optimistic point of view, he's only got maybe a year left of football at best. So the Chiefs are going to have to do this anyway. It might as well be now. They might as well get younger, get more athletic, stay cheaper at some positions, which is totally cool with me. But that's, like I said, it's a ripping the Band-Aid off effect. If you remove yourself from some of these older, more expensive players, especially when they're free agents like Kelce. Not that he's still not effective. This is what I was making the whole case about Drew Tranquill and how I think the Chiefs need to cut him and save the $6 million this offseason. Drew Tranquill's still a really good player, and he's helped this team dramatically over these last 2+ seasons. But he's 31 years old, and he plays linebacker. To me, $6 million in cap relief means more moving forward than a 31-year-old linebacker. I think the Chiefs can adequately replace a 31-year-old linebacker. So that's where I stand on it, man. I understand that you feel like, oh, that's going to make the offense worse. I think in a lot of ways it makes them better because it forces their hand to get better with schematics and get better with developing and drafting some of these receivers and guys and getting more serious at the running back position. That's the kind of stuff. If you bring back Kelce, there's almost like this built-in mentality of, oh, they'll just take care of it. Like Mahomes and Kelce will just keep doing what they do. When we just saw on full display all this whole season, that's not getting the job done anymore. And nor should it. I mean, it's insane to think that these guys could do that for a decade straight. Like, that's just not the reality of this league. So what they've already done together is already profoundly unprecedented because no one has a 7-year stretch like they have. Literally no one has in the history of this game. So for us to think that they could stretch this out even more so, to me, is not only foolish in some instances, but it's also just kind of reckless. Because if we want to see this team continue to win Super Bowls while Patrick Mahomes is the great quarterback that he is, then they got to make sure that they're giving him better, younger, more athletically gifted players to build around him as he ages. You can't just keep relying on him because, like I said, you keep doing that and you let Patrick have to play these magical plays constantly, all that. The league's adjusted to that, and you see that is catching up to the Chiefs, and I just don't want to see that anymore. Our guy Todd Toll-Free, what up, Lance? Good to see you all. Yeah, good to see you, brother, and thank you for being in the chat, man. We very much appreciate you. Let's see. Get a couple more. Our guy Curtis Thacker says, kind of see him returning mid-season and not having to do OTA or training camp, hoping for a good final season. Yeah, I mean, I know that's a thought. I just think, like I said, when Travis, I think when he hangs it up for good. I don't see him as a guy that's going to like do a Brett Favre. I just don't see it. Here our guy, ACU Misfit says, Travis himself said he'd done everything this year that had worked for him prior and couldn't find the gear anymore. Sounds like age to me, man. Our guy Chief B 71. Love Andy, and I love what he did for this team, but at this time, this moment, do you feel it's Andy that is holding this team back? Unfortunately, I do. Well, this is something that we can definitely dive into in a little bit. I will just say right now, Chief B, it's hard for me to sit here and say that he's holding this team back when he has been the head, because we have to give credit where credit is due. I have a lot of issues with Andy Reid, but it's not necessarily with just the results. I think this season was a one-off. A lot of things went wrong, and I think that this can, in all actuality, even though I think it's an abject failure, can be something that this team greatly benefits off of. From a draft perspective, from a salary cap perspective, a lot of uncomfortable changes I think are going to come. I've already made my wish list. Maybe the Chiefs don't align with my thinking. Maybe they do. We'll see. But Andy Reid to me is still the head coach that I'd want running this team. Sure, there are other guys out here that I would love to have. If Andy was to retire, I have a list of guys that I would love to see take over because there's obviously other great coaches out there and other great candidates. But there's no question in my mind at this current time who I would still want as the Chiefs head coach. It's still Andy Reid. Now, again, these are discussions that are nuanced. These are things that do change, and we do adapt our opinions. If the Chiefs were to have another season like this in 2026, my tune's definitely changing because Andy Reid would be 68 years old at that point, and it would very much look and feel like maybe the game has passed him by, and sometimes it doesn't take very long for that to happen. Yes, the Chiefs went to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls coming into the season, but if there's a 2-year stretch where the Chiefs either don't make the playoffs or they fall short really quick, don't win their division again, then it becomes a what have you done for me lately type of discussion. I'm going to give him this season. I'm going to give Andy Reid this season to see what was wrong with it, some self-reflection. What did I do wrong as the head coach? How can I improve? How can I do better? How do we improve our coaching staff? How do we improve our roster? How do we do these? And there's a lot of things that I think that Andy Reid can and will fix because we have seen him do that in the past. When the Chiefs, lost dramatically, tragically, in that Super Bowl against the Buccaneers in 2020, we saw an aggressive Chiefs that offseason. Totally revamped their offensive line, went and spent real money at certain positions, got aggressive. And they got back to the AFC Championship and hosted that AFC Championship the very next season. Should have been in the Super Bowl, but they decided to shit their pants against Joe Burrow, and now Joe Burrow gets credit for that. But yeah, that's where I'm at, and I'm still very confident in Andy Reid. Our guy, John Harrison, adds to his take on when I was talking about Jason, Kelce, and Travis. Jason physically couldn't do it anymore, had bad knees and back. It takes a toll on a lineman. You're not wrong about that. I'm just saying that it's going to, I think it's going to be it's going to be handled the same way by Travis because he saw his older brother do that. And I think he wants to have a similar, I'm not saying that, because Travis is not going to retire because of him having a body breaking down. If you watched him even last night, with a third string quarterback, from the practice squad, throwing him the passes, he's still out there running crisp routes, still has the hands. Like, he can still play at a decently high level in this league. And I think he would next season if he decided to play next season. What I'm saying, it's not the context of how or why Jason and Travis would retire in a linear format. It's the how. I think that's what I was addressing more than anything. ACU Misfit said he's going to get married. He and me and Travis Kelce, he's going to get married next year, plus honeymoon. He's going to start his new life. Exactly. That's kind of where I'm at as well. And I want to leave the conversation there because there's a couple other things I want to discuss tonight, guys, and I really do appreciate your time. We're already about 45 minutes into the show. I'm not going to keep you guys for a really long time tonight. But there's obviously other big stories that we have to get to in Kansas City, and I'm sure that you guys are fully aware of them. But given the scenario that you're not, there was a little bit of news this week that I've been telling you guys for about 1.5 years now that was going to happen. And would you look at that? Clark Hunt, CEO of the Chiefs, and Kansas Governor Laura Kelly hanging out, having a good old time with a Chiefs jersey. That to me looks like a new friendship and a new business relationship because the Chiefs are officially moving to Kansas. Like I said, I told you guys as soon as the vote went down last year in Jackson County, when it was vehemently voted down, that the Chiefs were going to move to Kansas. And I'm honestly shocked that this has shocked anybody because the writing's been on the wall. On Tuesday night, my brother Shaggy and I were on the 65 Toss Power Talk Show, and I got a chance to kind of open the bag, if you will, on my thoughts and my opinions, my viewpoints on this whole situation. I went on for about 5 or 6 minutes, and I had another 15 minutes in me if I really wanted to, but I didn't because I didn't want to bore everybody with that. But what I want to say tonight about it is, again, this is not an easy situation for any of us. I'm born and raised in Kansas. I never in my wildest dreams thought this was going to ever be a reality. Just for the record, there's never a time in my mind growing up that I'm like, you know what, maybe the Chiefs will move to Kansas, because Arrowhead to me was everything. Yeah, I didn't live in Missouri. I've never actually lived in Missouri, but it didn't matter to me because that was home. I grew up a Chiefs fan. It didn't matter whether they shared the same state as I did. That was my home team. They are my home team. And if the Chiefs would have stayed at Arrowhead, I'd have been totally fine with that. Because it's the team, it's the fans, it's the experience, it's everything that comes with that home, that house, if you will, that makes this what this is to me. This lifelong love, passion, and zeal that I have for this team. But we also understand something else. This is a business, okay? We us fans, we see things from a completely different perspective. We're the consumer, okay? We're the ones that are going there for the experience. But we all know that on the other side, those are the experience makers, the businessmen. Clark Hunt, like his father, Lamar Hunt, who moved this team from Dallas to Kansas City for business reasons, is doing business. Now, I'm not trying to talk to anybody in a very condescending tone, I swear to you guys. But I think that the conversation has to be a little bit direct in how, because I'm listening to so many folks just pissed off from the Missouri side that are just so livid about this for a lot of reasons. One, they're sitting here saying that the Chiefs screwed them over. This is a very difficult thing to say, but I'm going to try to say it in the best way I can. When the renovation came out, the proposal that Clark Hunt and the Chiefs brass presented Jackson County on the vote, I said on this show, and I'll try to find the clip so I can show you guys one of these nights. I said on the show that if I was a Jackson County resident, I'd be pissed about that proposal as well, because it was an absolute joke. That was a joke. I didn't like that proposal at all. And I mean, obviously I couldn't vote on it, but I'm like, yeah, I get why Jackson County doesn't like it. But we also knew Clark Hunt's position and Mark Donovan's, the president of the team's position. If it gets voted down, then they're no longer interested in really negotiating moving forward at the Truman Sports Complex. They were going to look at other options. And just so happened, Kansas threw their hat in the ring and said, hey, if the vote doesn't go the way you guys are hoping it does, for whatever reason, discussions start to arise where you guys are maybe looking around and seeing where else you might want to, run your business, maybe consider us. And we know that, and people want to blame Clark Hunt for this, but as I recall, over about 20 years ago, when Lamar Hunt was still very much alive, the Chiefs were in discussions to move to the Kansas side back then. Right over there on the K7 area, over in the Lenexa, almost like DeSoto region. I found the article. I can literally send it to whoever wants it. It was Judy Batista that wrote the article, that the Chiefs were trying to get a Super Bowl, and they knew they had to make some concessions, and Lamar Hunt was trying to find a way to make that possible. Because they couldn't have an open air a Super Bowl at Arrowhead in February when it's 9 degrees outside in Kansas City. There's no way you can do that. That's why like 5 cities get the Super Bowl on a normal basis. It's Atlanta, San Francisco, Miami, Tampa Bay, and I know I'm Los Angeles. You know what I mean? Like those are the cities that get like every other Super Bowl. Now you will get like the one-offs. You'll get Detroit, you'll get Indianapolis, Minnesota. You'll get some of these, but they all got domes. There's no coincidence there. So that's what the Chiefs for the last 20 years have probably been thinking about. And when this got voted down by Jackson County vehemently, I might add, and there were, some lively, influences in our city that decided to help, fan those flames to Jackson County. Once they got vehemently voted down, I came on the show that very week and told you guys what was going to happen. Because I know how a businessman thinks. I've owned businesses myself at a much lower scale, of course, but I understand what a businessman thinks about and what they're trying to do with their product and knowing what he has. Clark Hunt knows he's got a gold mine here in Kansas City. He knows that it's not just an NFL brand. He's got the NFL brand. The Chiefs are on more primetime games than any other team in the NFL right now outside of maybe the Cowboys. And it just so happened in that Cowboys-Chiefs Thanksgiving game, I think they broke several viewing records. Not shocking at all. Clark Hunt knows. He's a very smart businessman. And so when Kansas and Governor Laura Kelly came and presented this offer to them, I knew it was a foregone conclusion. It was just a matter of when, not if. And when they extended the Star Bond offer from this summer to the end of this year, I knew it was a done deal then too, because they were making concessions to help the Chiefs, even though they were trying to give them a hard line initially in the summer. And so when I hear people say that, Clark Hunt and the Chiefs are screwing Missouri over and things of that nature, and then the residents of Jackson County, look, the proposal sucked, but you guys still have the right to keep the team. If you would have voted in the proposal and kept your 3/8 sales tax, the team doesn't go anywhere. But see, Clark Hunt knew that you guys weren't going to accept that proposal. So it's a double-edged sword that we're dealing with here. It's not so simple where it's just like, well, it's all on you guys. No, there's mutual blame here. There's mutual responsibility from Clark Hunt's side, the Chiefs as a whole, and Jackson County. But in the midst of that, like I said, an opportunity arose on the other side of the state line that had untapped potential, built-in amenities, and a fuck ton of money. I'm sorry, I'm going to present this to you guys, the viewing and listening audience. If you owned a business, dare I say a business that was handed down from your father to you, and there was somebody that was offering you a better situation for a lot more money and you have to pay less, I don't think I need to ask you what you would do, because I know what I would do. And I know everyone's also saying, oh, this is his father's legacy, and he's leaving Arrowhead, whereas his father built this. Guys, again, the Chiefs didn't start here in Kansas City. Okay? We knew they were the Dallas Texans. So it wasn't like this was the first place that Lamar Hunt ran this organization. He moved here as well. That was his legacy, was moving to Kansas City, sure, and helped create what the NFL is. He literally created the Super Bowl. But it's time for Clark to create his own legacy. He gets to now make his own shadow instead of living in his father's. And I respect that. I respect that from Clark. And I'm not here to defend billionaires. Okay? I'm not one, and I never will be probably. But I could see the layout of all this, the timeline and how it's all played out, guys, and it's not difficult to figure out from any perspective. And then there's this thought, this viewpoint, this opinion from people where they're talking about how it's just not going to be the same. The experience at Arrowhead it's special. It's historic. First of all, anybody that's over the age of 15, if you hear the words Arrowhead and historic when it comes to great football being had there, you're going to look at somebody a little funny about that, because it's only been recent where the Chiefs have had real success from an historic standpoint. So that is actually where the Chiefs are kind of new money, because they didn't win a single Super Bowl or didn't get to another Super Bowl for 5 decades. So there wasn't a lot of history there. The thing that I think that fans are missing on this entire thing, they're really missing the point here, is you guys hear the quote, what makes a home? It's not the house. A house is a house. A home is different. A home is made by those who live in it, those who, do events and live, make experiences. That's what makes a home. The Arrowhead Stadium in itself is just a shell that is filled by those that make the experience. So when you say it's not going to be the same, sure, because it's not going to be in the same location, and there's not that you don't have that memory of going back 20, 30 years with your parents and your grandparents, stuff like that, going to that place. But the exciting thing is, guys, that there is a newness to it. And the newness is that you now get to take your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, whoever, for the first time in a newer, more modernized facility with a bunch more stuff to do. It's going to be Chiefsville, or as I'm coining it, the Midwest Mecca. They'll have the practice facility where high school teams can play their championship games and practice at in Olathe, that's about 30 minutes south of Kansas City. It's going to be a whole new ball game, almost literally, guys, where they're going to build a stadium that's going to have the same experiences from a tailgating perspective. Clark Hunt has already verified that. They're going to make sure that you guys can do all the things you want to do at your tailgate now there, but with a bunch of other stuff to do. You guys are what makes the experience the point I'm trying to make. The experience isn't just the building. The experience is you guys bringing that beautiful sweet hickory sauce barbecue to that tailgate and, lining up at 4 a.m. when the game's at 3:30 or 7:30. You guys are the experience. You guys are the aura. You're what brings that. Because the tailgate doesn't happen in the stadium, as last I checked. I've been to about 700 tailgates in my life as a Chiefs fan. I don't remember ever cooking barbecue inside the stadium. The experience happens outside of it. Football is what happens on the inside, obviously. So if you're talking about the experience as a fan and, the tailgating experience, that's going to follow because it's literally 20 minutes west on I-70, guys. It's not like they're moving to San Antonio. It's not like they're moving to Nashville. They are moving down the highway. 20 minutes. I've made the drive 7 million times in my life. And it is a simple drive. So for some, it might be a little bit of a longer stretch, but I know a lot of people that live in Kansas, Wichita, Emporia, places like that make the drive plenty, and they haven't bitched about it once because it's about the experience of being with all the people you love and the people you have a common bond. And that's what it's really about, man. And look, Jackson County can be upset about all they want, but guys, you also had 50 plus years to build anything around that stadium, and you did nothing. And Mark Donovan finally addressed that last year and told you guys, this just isn't an area we can build. They've shown us nothing in this region. And that region has capitalized off having the stadiums there. Now we'll wait and see what happens to the Royals. I would personally, and here I am showing my good faith to my brothers on the other side of the state line in Missouri. I'd love to see the Royals in Kansas City, Missouri agree to a deal where they get that downtown ballpark because that would be great for everybody. I've always dreamt of having a downtown baseball park. Because that needs to happen. In any city that has a baseball team, a pro baseball team, it needs to be in downtown. It's just a different experience, man. If you've never experienced that before, trust me, you're missing out. And you need to fix that. And I hope that's what happens. More than likely it's not. Royals are probably going to go down to 119th and Knoll over there by the AMC and, the old Sprint headquarters and stuff. That's probably where they're going to move. But again, it's simply because the concessions were... It was so much, even Clark Hunt said it, that dealing with Kansas has been so much more simple than dealing with Missouri. And with the money and everything else that's coming alongside that, it was an open and closed case, guys. And I told you over a year ago, guys, this was going to happen. It's not a shock to me at all. It's just been reconfirmed. So I would love to get your guys' thoughts on this as well. I know, like I said, I transitioned over from the Travis Kelce conversation to this. But I want to get to some of your guys' thoughts on this as well, because I know this is something that a lot of people are pissed off about. My guy Darrell Daniels, shout out to you, brother. He said we are still rocking with them. Exactly, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, that's a safe assumption. I know some people are trying to claim like, oh, I'm not gonna be a Chiefs fan anymore. Okay, I'll see you on Sundays. ACU Misfits comes back into the equation. Says, do we go running back in the first round though? I want an edge or DT. I'll address that in a little bit, man. I'll make a simple conclusion to that, or simple response to that, rather. Todd Tolfree says, draft Love and add running back Tyler Algier, free agents. From the Falcons, he's strong, hard runner like Hunt, but faster, will have the most dynamic backfield in the league. It's not a bad idea. Algier's a hell of a running back, and he's obviously not been a full-time starter because of Bijan Robinson being there. But if the Chiefs could get him for a marketable deal, then yeah, sign me up for that. ACU Misfits comes with this one. The new stadium is going to look amazing, and everybody complaining about about getting priced out. Welcome to America. Money is king. I think there was even another comment about that as well. Our guy Curtis Thacker comes back with it. I just hope they don't outprice us normal guys, pre-Mahomes fans. Okay, I'm glad this is brought up. I think this is something that does need to be addressed. I was actually at a Christmas party on Christmas Eve, hanging with some lovely people, and the grandmother of the family, I love her to death. Her name is Marcy. She's been a season ticket holder. Her and her husband have been a season ticket holder for a very long time with the Chiefs, and they spend thousands of dollars every year. And obviously, it's gone up since the Chiefs started winning, meaningful games for the first time in forever. She asked me this very question. She asked me about the PSLs, and just the opportunities that may not be there for them, like they've been accustomed to. And I get that. I think that's a very fair conversation to be had. I know that people are worried about the theory, or rather the rumor that the Chiefs are going to have a lot less seats in the new stadium that will be a dome or retractable roof. I'll say this. I know the rumors are saying the Chiefs are going to have roughly 65,000 seats. I don't think that's going to be the case. I've talked to a few people that are in the know that deal with building stadiums very similar to Kansas City, and the one that they're going to have, the renderings are out. That's probably not official, though. It'll probably be a lot different. But from everything I know, they're going to be pushing to get around roughly 70,000. And even with that, that's actually on the high end, guys. So right now, Arrowhead Stadium is the fourth largest stadium in the NFL for capacity. I think it's roughly almost 77,000 seats. It will not be that. And that's okay. It's really okay. If they get down to, 69, nice, to like 71, 72, that is just fine. Now, prices will be high. But if anybody's been going to Arrowhead over the last 6 to 8 years, you're pretty familiar with the price spikes. Am I correct? I mean, it's a reason why, full disclosure here, guys, it's a reason why I stopped getting season tickets, because the prices were insane. And I don't like, personally, call me an uppity or whatever you want to call it, I don't like going to Chiefs games unless I have good seats, because sitting up in that bowl can be a bitch. Not that it's not a great experience still and everything, but I mean, getting all the way up there and dealing with drunk Roy and Tevin over here fighting each other and shit, and just dealing with drunk assholes left and right, and being loud and obnoxious. I'm trying to focus in on the game. I don't want to be 490 feet above sea level here, when I could be at the comforts of my home or in section 118. So yeah, man, I know that we're us normal guys. I'm a normal guy too, so I feel you on that. It's going to be something that's it might price some people out, but again, guys, that's been kind of the going rate anyway. Myself, other people included, have said that for years now. So whether they were going to stay at Arrowhead with the renovations or not, or come to Kansas, this was going to happen. It was inevitable. So I don't think it's the move that's going to make that what it is from when it comes to the pricing perspective, because there was going to be changes anyway. With FIFA World Cup coming to Missouri this next summer. They're going to have to make some changes to the stadium at that time. There's just a lot of things, guys, that are going to make things more expensive. And just with the way our economy is, too, if we're going to be honest, man, with tariffs. But anyway, yeah, so I understand you on that one, Curtis. Our guy, About Time 73, comes back in. He goes, speaking of a home, will Clark have a condo at the new stadium like he has at Arrowhead? That's an interesting question. I recently just did I was hanging out at Arrowhead. Trevor and I were at the Arrowhead a couple weeks ago, and I had talked to our guy, Al Herrera, who's one of the tour guides there, had been with the team for about 50 plus years now. And I did ask him that, and he didn't have an answer for me, because I don't think anybody knows. I think until they break ground, I don't think that we're really going to have any confirmations as to what is or what isn't going to actually happen. I would imagine, if you're asking me right now, do I think there's going to be something to the effect of what they have at Old Arrowhead right now? Yes, I think that Clark Hunt's going to have himself a nice-ass suite for his family and all his guests. And in fact, it might be even sweeter. And I say that with pun intended. So we'll definitely watch out for that one, though. Our friend Morgan here says that's true, Lance. I don't know what I said that's true, but I agree with you. So thank you for that. John Harrison comes back in. He goes that new stadium will be made by richer ticket holders, because a lot of season ticket holders will be priced out by PSLs. If you don't believe me, wait and see. John, you're not wrong. I understand what you're saying, man. I'm not going to sit here, like I said, and make a special pleading, conversation for rich people. Okay, I'm one of you guys. Like, I'm clearly one of you guys. Like I told you, I stopped getting season tickets myself because of the price 2 years ago. So, again, this move is not going to be what prices people out. It's the inevitable climb and the supply and demand, because as the Chiefs continue to do what they're doing, and I believe they will, there's going to be a supply and demand where, for Christ's sake, guys, what was it, 2 weeks ago? The game that Patrick got hurt in, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe in the game before, freaking Leonardo DiCaprio was at Arrowhead. Taylor Swift's been to like 20 games at Arrowhead. Like, she brought like Blake Lively and like Bradley Cooper. You know what I mean? Like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman went to the game at MetLife when the Chiefs were playing the Jets. Like, you're going to get these like big time names and stuff like that to show up to this stadium, regardless of which one it was. And that's going to bring there's more of a status effect. Like that ups the price. And yes, you're dealing with billionaires here. You're dealing with people that like to make a lot of money. So this is not a shock in any way, shape, or form to any of us. It shouldn't be, at least. Because like I said, if the renovation went through in Truman Sports Complex, trust me when I say those ticket prices are going to go up a significant amount. It isn't because they're moving to this stadium that the prices are going to go up. They were going to go up no matter what. So I get it. I understand where you're coming from, John. I understand where everyone's coming from with this. That's why I'm glad we're addressing this. But I have to give you guys the real on this, that the prices were going to be insane no matter what move they made or didn't make. Let's see here. Our guy Kevin Capel comes in. He goes, Browns are moving out of Cleveland and into a dome. They think they will get to host a Super Bowl when they've never been to one. Well, I don't really know what them never being to one really has to do with that, because you're right about that, first of all. But if the Browns end up getting that dome, which I do think is going to happen, they're 100% going to get a Super Bowl. And that's another thing that we need to be excited about here in Kansas City, is when the Chiefs do get a Super Bowl, when they get to host a Super Bowl, I hope you guys understand what that does for a city, for a metropolitan area. The amount. I mean, look, I remember how great it was for the city when they hosted the draft 2 years ago. Do you guys remember that? I mean, you heard Rich Eisen and all the hosts of all the big sports media networks talking about how great of an experience it was to be in Kansas City, and they had just, how much that attention brought tourism and revenue and things of that nature. That was the draft. I mean, that brings a lot of people, obviously. I think there was over like 850,000 people there, kind of like the Super Bowl parades. But a Super Bowl, there's no comparing that in the NFL realm, of course. There's no comparing anything else. If and when the Chiefs get the Super Bowl, if and when the Browns get the Super Bowl, that brings an insane amount of revenue and attention and tourism to your city. And another thing about all this is also, guys, is that, we talk about, the economic climate of our society. And we're always looking for, the opportunity for better jobs and more jobs and things of that nature, as we should. Do you guys really think this isn't going to add thousands of jobs to this region? Because with this Midwest Mecca that's going to be built, and with all that comes more business, more revenue, more jobs. There's going to be more businesses that are going to come to Kansas City now. They're going to have businesses on site of the training facility in Olathe. They're going to have it over at the new Arrowhead. There's going to be an insane amount of opportunity. And so people are going to move here. People are going to apply for these jobs, and it's going to help things around it. I'm not trying to oversimplify this, because, again, I understand where people are coming from some of these price perspectives and things of that nature. I'm trying to show you guys the positives of what's going to happen with all this as well, because that needs to be addressed. That's it. It has to be in the equation. That's all I'm trying to say. Our guy John Harrison again says, in reality, it is 5 years away. I'm old and hope I live long enough to see the new stadium on TV, because I'll never afford to be there in person. John, I don't need negative John tonight, okay? You're not old, John. You're young, you're spry, you're a good guy, and we're going to have you around for a lot longer, okay? Damn it, we need you, quite frankly. You're one of the MVPs on our show alone. And yes, you're right. It is 5 years away. That's why I want people to understand as well that we get to enjoy Arrowhead Stadium and what it is for the next 5 years. So let's live it up, man. Let's cherish it. Let's enjoy it. Enjoy those high prices, because they're only going to go higher at old Arrowhead before they even start, moving into the new Arrowhead. And, like I said, I understand people's frustration about prices and things like that, guys. Everything's expensive right now. If you can't afford to go to football games, then unfortunately that's just probably something you have to not do. I get it. Trust me, guys. I do. ACU Misfit comes back. The new stadium will attract quality free agents. We'll see. I don't know exactly. I mean, I will say if the training facilities are finally good, because I know that the Chiefs got shit on over the last couple of years on those grades that they got. I think they got an F for their facilities for the players. Another reason why I was very, very confident that the Chiefs are going to be moving to Kansas is because why would Clark Hunt put millions into their training facilities at a stadium they're going to be gone from in the next 5 to 10 years? So I see it both ways, but yeah, that'd be great if they're like, you know what, I was going to sign with them, but these that elliptical is pretty badass. Where do I sign? You know what I mean? That'd be pretty sick. I'd agree with you there. Oh, Morgan jumped back in and told me what I was right about. Making valid points about the new stadium. Thank you, Morgan. I appreciate that. Like I said, it's not an easy conversation to have. It's not something that I know a lot of people want to talk about. Like I said, I know it's change, and spending my entire life here in the Midwest, I understand that change is not always something that people in this region want to have. But it's going to happen, guys. And one way or another, I'll credit Carrington Harrison for this. He did say that this week on his show. He said that no matter whether the Chiefs are going to move to Kansas or not, there was going to be a change. And inevitably something at some point was going to happen. And I know that people want Arrowhead to last forever, but guys, that stadium has already lasted the better part of 60 years. And by the time the Chiefs move out of it, it'll be roughly 60 years that stadium has stood. That's ancient. Like that's ancient. Like only like Lambeau Field and like Soldier Field. I think those are the only stadiums that actually predate Arrowhead, if I'm not mistaken. So it's an old stadium. And again, Clark Hunt and guys like that, if you're noticing, all the new stadiums are being built except Buffalo because they're dumbasses. They're building domes because they want Super Bowls, and they also want climate control. And this is another thing that I'm in full support of. Guys, I know that we grew up out here with, the rain and the snow and the sleet being a part of the game, and that's real football. But yeah, but we're dealing with millions of dollars of contracts and players, and playing in that kind of weather only ups the chances of injuries to your star players, which only hurts the league and only hurts you as the fan and their experience of seeing these players play. But it also gives such a disadvantage and a significant advantage to the teams that play in those climates, whereas other teams play in domes. Like, this is something that benefited Tom Brady for years against Peyton Manning. Peyton played at the RCA Dome and then Lucas Oil Field, dome stadiums. And then he had to go to New England when it was 20 degrees outside, and it threw their whole game plan off because they were more of an air raid style of offense. So I've always been somebody that does not like weather being a factor in games, because in any other sport, it's not. Every other sport, it is an even playing field when it comes to what is going on with the temperature, with the weather. It's a non-factor. It should be the same in football, especially with all the money that's involved in betting and all these other things. And like I said, the Rams last year could have beaten the Eagles in the playoffs, but because the Rams are coming from SoFi in the warm LA area, Dome Stadium, going to Philadelphia with the snow and the sleet and all that stuff, an absolute advantage for the Eagles. I want the game to be won and decided by the players and the coaching staff, not because it was slick as shit outside or the snow was out there, because you got the Eagles that are still bitching about the Super Bowl, even though it was in a fucking dome, but I digress on that. The point I'm making is this is going to be good for the Chiefs too, because guys, we also have to be thinking about the longevity of Patrick Mahomes' career. I said this on Tuesday night as well, that if we all want to see Patrick play till he's late 30s, maybe even early 40s, wouldn't you agree that the chances of him making it that far in his career would be if he played in weather that's not 15 degrees outside in January? Because if you look at the majority of the quarterbacks that played 18 to 20 plus years, almost all of them played in either dome stadiums for the majority of their career, or they played in warm weather climates. Look at Tom Brady, 45 years old. In 2019, you saw the end was coming. You could see that at his older age at that time, I think he was 41 at that time, if I'm not mistaken. You could see it. Like, okay, Tom's getting old. It's pretty apparent. The cold's just, he can't get through it like he once did. He can't rip the ball through that cold air like he once did. And it makes sense. He was old. Technically, he was an old quarterback. And then he goes to Tampa Bay with better weapons, sure, but it's 80 degrees in January in Tampa Bay. And they play the Falcons, dome. They play the Saints, dome. Those are 4 games of their schedule. Pick Carolina, nice mild weather for the most part. 2 more games. That's 6 games a year that Tom Brady got to play in controlled environments. So that extended his career. Look at Matt Stafford. Played 11 years with the Lions in a dome. That preserved him. And then he's played the rest of his career with the Rams in a dome, or retractable roof, but warm weather. Matt Stafford's not playing until he's 37, 38 years old, guys, if he played in Cleveland. Okay? Drew Brees played, 14, 15 years with the Saints? They started with the Chargers. You know what I mean? Like, warm weather, dome. That preserved a little 6-foot quarterback to play the way he played all those years. Peyton Manning played his first 11 seasons in a dome. That helped him extend his career. Now, I know he played in Denver later on, but again, with those first 11 years playing in a controlled environment, I have to believe that helped Peyton Manning get squeeze a few more years later into his 30s. Otherwise, I don't, if he played his whole career in Denver, I don't think he plays till he was 38, 39 years old. I really don't. The point I'm trying to make is, if we want to see Patrick Mahomes have that same type of trajectory, that's what he needs to do. That needs to be the situation, the reality. And luckily for him, that's going to be the reality. Because by the time the Chiefs move over to Kansas, he's going to be about 36 years old. I think that Patrick's still going to be playing at a decently high level at that point. We've seen guys like Aaron Rodgers and Matt Stafford play MVP levels at 36, 37 years old. I mean, Aaron Rodgers literally won MVP at 37 years old. Matt Stafford's going to win MVP at 37 years old. Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than both those guys. So I think everything goes well. I think at 37-year-old, Patrick Mahomes is going to play like an MVP. And I think playing in a controlled environment is going to definitely help that fact. So we'll see. That is the comments right now, man. You guys are awesome, man. This show's already, an hour and 15 in, man. It feels like we just started the damn show. But yeah, that's where I'm at on the stadium. I know there's going to be a lot of push and pull, a lot of disagreements and all that. Shaggy and I, we've had our disagreements on it as well, but I am very confident in this, and take this with a grain of salt now, but remember when I said it all these years later. We're going to love this. This is going to be a great thing for the city, for this community, for this fan base, for everybody involved. I know for Missouri, this sucks. If I lived in Missouri, I would feel the same way. The change is going to be weird. It's going to be so freaking sad to say goodbye to Arrowhead. That's all I've known. And again, I'm a Kansas kid. I grew up 30 minutes from Arrowhead Stadium, so I was never far away, but I was always on the other side of the state line. But that's all I knew. Some of my earliest memories are going to Chiefs games with my dad and my grandfather, and watching the games, with those men religiously. Like, there's a lot of memories, dude. I saw my first, Chiefs playoff win in that stadium. I saw them win the AFC championship there. Some of the greatest memories of my life took place in that building. But it's time, man. It's kind of the theme of everything right now. Seeing Travis Kelce is going to be, step away and retire is going to be sad to see. It's going to suck, man. But it's time. That's how life works, man. That's how business works. And that's what we're experiencing here. And so I understand. I feel you guys. I understand the frustration. I understand the hurt. I understand that. But we have another 5 years to enjoy that stadium and to make more memories there. And I think the Chiefs are going to make a lot more memories there on the field, off the field, out in the tailgate as well. So let's live it up for these next 5 years at that stadium. And in 5 years, let's start creating new ones at a new facility. If you guys have any questions, man, go ahead and drop them in the chat, because I want to get to some questions as well, because like I said, I've just been kind of babbling here about Travis Kelce and about this new stadium, because that's what's going on now. And quite frankly, I don't want to talk about the Chiefs and what's going on the football field. I will say this real quick, and I'm going to show you guys this right now. This is on the Herd today, Colin Cowherd show. This is the current top 10 draft order for the 2026 draft. And as you can see, the Chiefs are right now the 10th overall pick. Now, usually we'd be depressed as shit if we saw that, because that meant that something went really wrong. Well, guess what? It did. But you know what? We're making peace with it, and we are moving forward. And we want to see the Chiefs finally get that blue chip player that they've never been able to get in the Brett Veach era. And I'm actually really excited about this, guys, because this is going to be something, Trevor and I talked to you guys last week about it. I talked about it on Tuesday again. We're finally going to see Brett Veach get a chance to get a real game wrecker. We know in 2022, the Chiefs had 12 picks. They traded 2 of them to move up and get Trent McDuffie at 21 overall. But that's the closest that Brett Veach has ever been in having a top 20 pick. In his 8 seasons as Chiefs GM, He's only had 6 first-round picks. And the earliest, like I said, was when he traded up to get Trent McDuffie at 21 overall. Outside of that, he had a 28, he had a 30, he had a 31, he had a 32. Like, he's always drafted the back end of the first round. And I think he's done pretty damn well considering that. But this is the opportunity for Brett Veach to really cement his legacy as the Chiefs GM. Because if he sticks the landing with this pick, with a top 10 pick, and gets them, a top-tier player at the position of their choice, that's going to change the narrative. Because right now, guys, we know that this team has been building their success off the backs of 3 players that John Dorsey drafted. And Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones. This is Brett Veach's chance, man, to really make this team his team. Now, obviously, Patrick Mahomes is still going to be here. Chris Jones is still here. I think Travis Kelce's gone, but if he reloads and restocks with with a young badass little nucleus, then we've seen him do it before, guys. I mean, I know a lot of people like to shit on Brett Veach, but we need to remember what he did in that 2022 draft. We need to look at what he may have done in the 2024 draft. I mean, we're talking about Josh Simmons. We're talking about Ashton Gelati, who's really coming on. Noel Williams looks like a dog. I mean, Bossa has some growth to do, but I like his athleticism. I mean, there's Rashard Smith has shown some promise. Like, what I'm saying is that Brett Veach has done pretty damn good with late picks. You know what I mean? Day 2, day 3, he's cooked multiple times. Even with late first-round picks, he's gotten some badass dudes. So this is that chance, man. And I had somebody in the chat. I feel bad because I want to find the comment because, damn, it was a question about the draft. Oh, here it is, right here. ACU Misfit. Do we go running back in the first round though? I want edge or DT. You are in line with me completely here. We are parallel to each other right now, ACU Misfit, because that is exactly where I want the Chiefs to go. There's no mystery about it. If I had the pick of the litter, I would pick David Bailey out of Texas Tech. Fitting because it's Patrick Mahomes' former or his alma mater rather. But David Bailey looks like an absolute animal, and he's going to go within the first 10 to 15 picks. That's right where the Chiefs are going to be. I think it makes total sense, and that is the biggest area of need for this roster moving forward. The Chiefs are one of the worst teams in the league at getting to the quarterback. I think right now they're 28th in the league in sacks. That's unacceptable. I mean, look at their back-to-back winning Super Bowl wins in 2022 and 2023. They were at the top of the NFL in sacks. I think they were second in the league in sacks both years. That's how you'd get it done. And I know what people have said all the time, and I've said it all the time. Brett Veach has not had the opportunity to go. You're not going to get Myles Garrett, with the 31st overall pick. That doesn't happen. Like TJ Watt's like the one outlier. I think he was taken 30th overall. Complete outlier. Like if they redrafted I think that was the 2015 or 2016 pick, the draft that he was in. If they did that draft again, TJ probably goes number 1 overall, guys. Like, honestly, at least top 5. So that's the outlier. That's the exception to the rule. Most times it takes you having to go, within the first 5 to 10 picks to get a Myles Garrett type player. The Chiefs had their opportunity for the first time, guys, in a decade to have that type of player. The Chiefs, the last time they were in the top 10, they had to trade up 17 spots in 2017 to get this guy named Patrick Mahomes. That's how aggressive they had to be to get there. They had to trade up 17 spots, which submitted their 2018 first-round pick that the Bills ultimately got. So, yeah, man, I think that there's no question in my mind that is the getting better on the defensive line has to be pivotal, because also the fact that Chris Jones is going to be making insane money next year, and the Chiefs are not getting out of that contract for this next season. I think they could get out of it after 2026. There is a way out of it. His dead cap and cap hit goes down dramatically after 2026. But they're going to have to get younger and cheaper at defensive line. Karlaftis is making real money. I think they need to either trade or cut Mike Dana. I put this in my wish list. Charles Lemon, who's not coming back, Jerry Tillery, guys like that will all be gone. Mike Pennell will be gone. They're going to have to rehaul this thing. Now, Norman Lott's going to be back. He's coming off an ACL tear, so it'll be interesting to see how effective he'll be, at least out the gate. So, yeah, man, I think without question, it's a slam dunk. You got to go and get that, like, badass edge rusher. I think David Bailey comes to mind. There's other guys out there, a guy from Clemson as well. I like him. We're going to talk about this a lot over the next few months, but I think that defensive end, Defensive line for sure. So you and I are lockstep on that one. Running back, cornerback, safety, linebacker, wide receiver. Those are like, oh, and this is again why the Chiefs need to try to acquire as many draft picks as they can, because they only currently have 6. And I don't think they have a pick outside of the 5th round. After the 5th round, they don't have a 6th or 7th round pick. And we know that Brett Veach likes to cook on those day 3 late picks, and they don't have one right now, which is why the next question is a great question from our guy ACU Misfit as well. You think McDuffie might get packaged to a top 5 pick? No, I don't think that. I don't think there's a chance in hell that the Chiefs could get a top 5 pick for Trent McDuffie. But could they get a top 25 pick? Yep, they could. I think that more than likely, the Chiefs get a late 1st round pick for Trent McDuffie. I right now, as I've been saying it, I think that it's going to be between 25 and 32, and then an additional 4th, something like that, where they accumulate multiple picks for Trent McDuffie. And again, I know that people think that there's no way they're getting a 1st round pick for Trent McDuffie. Our former colleague here in CoStar, Eddie Ortiz, was saying the same thing. He doesn't believe that the Chiefs can get a 1st round pick for Trent McDuffie. But I continue to remind people that Trent McDuffie is a 2-time All-Pro who's 25 years old. Sauce Gardner and Jalen Ramsey, at 25 years old, had a combined 3 All-Pros. Both are better players than Trent McDuffie. They both play on the outside. They're bigger, stronger, more physical players. But my point is the results are the results. And Trent McDuffie almost has as many All-Pros by himself in fewer seasons than both of them combined. And both of them, for the respective teams that traded them, got them both back multiple firsts. I don't think the Chiefs could get multiple firsts for Trent McDuffie. The point I'm making is, if those guys at 25 years old can get their teams multiple firsts in return in a trade, then how the hell could the Chiefs not get one first round pick out of Trent McDuffie? It's a slam dunk here, guys. I think the Chiefs will get the top 25 to 32 overall pick. I think that the Rams are a team that, if Matt Stafford doesn't retire and they want to try to go for this again next season, or they get a good quarterback in return, or if Matt Stafford does retire and they still want to try to go for titles, Trent McDuffie is a perfect player for them. I think the Cowboys are another team to be looking for. I know the Buccaneers are rumored to be in discussions for Trent McDuffie, but they don't have a 1st round pick, and I don't think the Chiefs will take the 52nd or 54th overall pick, whatever it is, for Trent McDuffie. That would just not be ideal. I think the Chiefs want a top 30 pick for Trent McDuffie because they know they got him with the 21st overall pick. There were teams that were trying to get him. The Chiefs jumped out ahead of them to get them, and that was before he was even a proven commodity in this league. Now he is a proven commodity. Now he is a multiple-time Pro Bowler who's 25 years old. To me, his value has only gone up for other teams, not so much the Chiefs, because they would pay him otherwise. They're not going to pay him. I do believe he's going to get traded. He's only going to be owed a little over $13 million in 2026 on his rookie deal. And whoever does trade for Trent's obviously going to give him that extension, because they're not going to trade him for 1 year. They're going to give him a long-term deal, and I'll be happy for Trent, and I'll be happy for the Chiefs as well, because that means they'll go from 6 picks to 8 picks, and that is ideal for the Chiefs. I would like to get I'm always of the belief that you want to get to as close as 10 picks as possible every single draft for a team like the Chiefs that are trying to keep their roster younger and cheaper, because they have to, because obviously you have a very expensive quarterback, you have very expensive players on the offensive side, and particularly on the offensive line. So that is why the Chiefs have to operate the way that they do. So, yeah, man, I do think that they'll get a package deal for a 1st round pick, but I don't think it'll be a top 5 by any means. Our guy John Harrison chimes back in. He says they could get a late 1st from the Rams because they have the number 12 right now from the Falcons. Exactly. You made my point right there. The Rams have multiple firsts. They have the 12th, and I think they have right now is the 29th. If the Chiefs can get the 29th overall pick for Trent McDuffie, along with like a 4th or 5th round pick, you make that trade. Because then the Chiefs have a top 10 pick and a back end of the 1st round pick to double dip in the 1st round. You're getting 2 1st round talents. That alone makes the Chiefs better. And you don't have to pay an undersized cornerback $100 million, which is what Trent McDuffie's going to make on the market. All right, we have another question here. Charles Michael Sinclair official. Who wins the AFC West? I know it looks like a foregone conclusion that the Broncos are going to get it done, but I And I don't know how it goes because I think if the Chargers lose this game to the Texans, I don't know if they can win the division. Maybe I'm wrong. But if the Chargers beat the Texans, which I don't think is going to happen, but if they beat the Texans, I think the Chargers are going to win the division, which would be hilarious from my perspective because I picked the Chargers to finish last in the division. That's looking fucking horrible. But yeah, I would say if the Chargers win the Texans game, I think they do beat the Broncos to finish the season because I think that game will decide, obviously, the division of both because the Broncos already beat the Chiefs. Yeah, I think that'd be the way the Chargers would win it. But yeah, obviously, the Chargers lose to the Texans, then yeah, the Broncos would win the division. ACU Misfits back again and again. So what round would you go running back? Because we need some wheels. So this is a great question. This is something that I've been really stewing on, guys. When was the last time the Chiefs drafted a good running back? And I'm talking about a guy that was like a real difference maker, like a franchise, 1,000-yard running back, 1,000-yard a year kind of running back. It was Kareem Hunt in 2017. Where did they get Kareem Hunt? They traded up for him in the 3rd round. That is the sweet spot for running backs. 2nd to like 5th round. You can always find guys that are franchise running backs in the 2nd to 5th round. Every single draft, you will find at least one badass top 10 running back in the league that was drafted from the 2nd to 5th round every single year. That's where the Chiefs need to focus their attention. I know everybody and their fucking mom is talking about Jeremiah Love and the Chiefs. I heard Mike Tannenbaum on ESPN's Get Up this morning. I heard him say that on the show that the Chiefs need to use their top 10 pick on Jeremiah Love. Guys, that is insane. Insane. And I'm not saying that Jeremiah Love's not going to be a really good player. For all we know, he's going to be awesome. But running back is not the Chiefs' biggest need this offseason, guys. And if you take a running back that early in the draft, they better be the second coming of Barry Sanders. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs barely justifies him being drafted like 12th overall 3 years ago. Like, he barely justifies it. And he's elite. Jahmyr Gibbs is unbelievably great, and he barely justifies that type of pick. So it's a very serious need that the Chiefs have at running back, but it's not their biggest need. So taking that position in the top 10 to 12 would be malpractice in my eyes from the Chiefs. So I do not anticipate that being the case. I fully anticipate they're going to go elsewhere, primarily on the defensive side. Because if you look at the defense this offseason, let's say they trade Trent McDuffie. They don't pay Jalen Watson. Brian Cook's a free agent. Leo Chenal's a free agent. Let's say they cut Drew Tranquill. Charles Omenihu's going to be gone. Jerry Tillery's going to be gone. Mike Pinnell's going to be gone. Maybe they cut Mike Danner or trade Mike Danner. That is 9 defensive players I just named right there. And most of those guys start. So outside of like Chris Jones and Nick Bolton, this is going to be a completely revamped defense. So the Chiefs need to rebuild their defense through the draft because you pay offense and you draft defense. At least you do in Kansas City. And that's the way Brett Veach has done business around here over the last 8 years. And I think he's going to continue to do it that way. And that's quite honestly the right way of going about it with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. You want to go out and pay for wide receivers. You want to go out there and pay for offensive linemen. I think the Chiefs need to go out and get Alec Pierce. I put that on my wish list. Alec Pierce is showing you guys in real time. I mean, Phillip Rivers was out there throwing balloons the other night. And Alec Pierce out there looking like a goddamn star. Dude, 6'3", 210 pounds, 25 years old. Go get him. That's a guy that I think would be great in this offense. A field stretcher, averages 20 yards per reception, leads the league. Go get that guy in this offense. But on the defensive side, man, you've got to draft heavy on the defense. Obviously, you need to draft a running back. Yes. And somebody in the chat was talking about Tyler Algier. If the Chiefs can go land Tyler Algier, great. But they're not going to spend big money on them. And if he has any type of market, which I don't really assume he will, But if they can get a Kenneth Walker or Tyler Algier, somebody like that who's in their mid to late 20s, they can come in here for a couple of years and help this stable of horses, if you will, then yes, you do it. You obviously do it. So yeah, I think third, fourth round probably be where they go for running back. John Harrison's back at it again. He says Singleton from Penn State should be available late second, early third. He's got 4.35 speed, and he's squatted 655. That's strong for a running back. Allen, the other running back from Penn State, is good too. So I'm going to go ahead and trust John on this one because I have not delved deep in the whole running back stable yet of the 2026 draftees. I'm going to over the next few weeks, all the way until about April. But from everything that John is saying, if that is true about this guy Singleton, then I am all on board for that. If he's, 95th to 100th overall pick and he's sitting there, yeah, go get him. Go get him, man. But the Chiefs have got to solidify their defensive line first. Go get that game-wrecking guy that's going to give you 15-plus sacks a season, because this time the Chiefs can actually do it. When the Chiefs drafted George Karlaftis, a lot of people were like, oh, man, this might be that guy. I always believed he was going to be more of a Ryan Kerrigan, a guy that gets you like 8 to 10 sacks. That's what I was saying. Like, he'll be here for 12 years, and he'll be a really good player, but he's never going to be like that top-tier, edge rusher that, the league is just fearful of. Not going to be that guy. Now the Chiefs can do it. This is that one, that's why this offseason is so pivotal for the Chiefs moving forward, because I believe in the Mahomes era, this will be the only time where they pick this early. So you got to capitalize on it. You have to capitalize on it, because this is that one time where Brett Veach can say, man, we had a down year the year before, when they look back and all this. When you look back, all these years ago, remember that time the Chiefs missed the playoffs? And then what did Brett Veach do that offseason? Because we credit him for the 2020 year when he revamped the offensive line. Went and got Creed Humphrey, went and got Trey Smith, went and signed Orlando Brown after 2020. They revamped this offensive line. And Brett Veach did a magnificent job at that. He's also drafted his ass off on numerous occasions. 2022 is his best draft. 2024 is an amazing draft. 2021 was a really good draft with I think they only had 6 picks, but they still got Creed Humphrey. They got Trey Smith. They got some, Noah Gray's a decent player, I guess. They got some, he's been able to do that. I think we're going to look back in the 2026 draft and say, that one time the Chiefs had that top 10 pick, they went and got that dude who's been leading the league in sacks ever since he got drafted. That's what I think needs to happen. And I know it's not a sexy thing, guys. I know we all want the top tier receiver. We all want Carnell Tate. And, you want Jeremiah Love, because those guys have the football and it looks cool and it's sexy. That isn't that isn't the way the Chiefs view the draft, because they have real needs on the defensive side. And if you want to see Patrick Mahomes continue to win Super Bowls, he's going to have a defense that's going to be relied upon. Because as Patrick gets older, he's not going to continue to do all the magician shit. Yeah, that's going to be break glass in case of emerging, because he's always going to have that in him, but you can't have him do that 7 to 10 times a game anymore. He's going to have to live in the pocket, rely on that gun of an arm he has, and then let the defense do what they did in 2023. The Chiefs have got to get back to that style of football. I know that wasn't a fun season, and I lost years of my life from that season. But the Chiefs won the Super Bowl the way they did because that defense was a juggernaut. They need to get back to that. And this time they have a real chance of having that alpha on the outside. And that could actually extend Chris Jones's career as well. Because all this is there's so much, and trust me, guys, Chris Jones makes some boneheaded decisions. Him doing what he did last night on that third or fourth down at the end of the game, I can't excuse that. 10-year vet doing that shit, and then the Jaguars game, and just Chris can be a real bonehead. But Chris is also one of the greatest players in Chiefs history. And the Chiefs don't win a single Super Bowl without him. He's been a key catalyst, guys. He's been the one constant on that defensive side in this dynasty. And I think he's got a lot of good football left in him. But there's so much that is riding on his 31-year-old shoulders right now. If you get him the next Will Anderson, if you get him the next Aiden Hutchinson, if you get him the next Myles Garrett, which is a reality now, guys, because the Chiefs will have a pick to be able to do so, it changes everything for everybody. And it takes this team from where they are right now to a whole other level. I mean, look at the Texans in particular, the Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter combination. Like, that team's offense sucks ass cheeks. But why are they on a 7-game winning streak? Why do they look like the scariest team in the AFC? Because they have 2 edge rushers that at any point in time can end a game. I envy that. I want that. And I think the Chiefs can get that. Just got to make the right decisions this offseason, man. ACU Misfit says, look at Lamar. It's catching up to him. I'm assuming you're talking about Lamar Jackson, and I 100% agree with you. I put a tweet out there a couple of days ago, and I said that I don't believe Lamar Jackson is an elite quarterback anymore. I don't think that's a hot take. Lamar has been, and I genuinely believe Lamar is a first ballot Hall of Famer right now. He's a multiple-time MVP. He is the most electric, most dynamic athlete I think we've ever seen at the quarterback position. What he's done in his career as an individual player is amazing. He's had a lot of shortcomings in the postseason. Obviously, I'm going to have to knock him on that one, but I think just from the popularity standpoint, production standpoint, dynamic standpoint, just the highlight reel standpoint, he is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he'll be 29 in like 2 weeks. But he's also starting to collect some injuries. And there's also some really questionable shit going on inside the locker room and like how serious he really is. Like I'm not going to be, just for the record, I'm not going to be one of those people that questions whether Lamar is like all in or not. I do believe that. I've seen videos when teammates are like filming stuff and shit like that. He's like on the plane. He's like, hey, man, you need to be in your playbook. Like, I believe that he is serious about the game. I think he is a leader and all that stuff. So I'm not going to attack that part. I'm just telling you guys what's being said now. I think it's just an easy thing to say right now because the Ravens are, going to miss the playoffs and Lamar's not had his best season. He's missed a lot of games. But that's the part that concerns me. I do wonder because now what you're seeing is opposing defenses, they're not respecting his legs anymore because he's not running anymore. I mean, he's having a career low in like all of his rushing stats. So is it age? Because, I mean, players like him, running quarterbacks like him don't age well. So that's why I've been saying for years that Lamar, if he was going to win a Super Bowl, it needed to be, 2018 to 2023, 2024, and he had opportunities. He had big home playoff games. I mean, shit, the AFC Championship in 2023, the season I was just talking about, was in Baltimore. Kansas City had to go to Baltimore. They had a golden opportunity to get to their first Super Bowl in years, and he squandered it. Lamar played like shit in that game. So, yeah, I think that I think some things are catching up on Lamar. I think that there is some issues, some real issues, and I'm not so sure that he's the same great player he once was. And I'm talking about even just a year ago. Last year, he was phenomenal. He was still running. Like, defenses the reason why Lamar's been able to throw the ball at times the way he has is because defenses have to play a lot of, zone defense against him because they have to make sure there's guys in the middle of the field that if he takes off, they're going to be there. If they play man-to-man defense and he sends the dogs, he's got 20 yards of just air just to run. It doesn't look like that's his game anymore. And I think there's a lot of tension between him and John Harbaugh because John Harbaugh's had to defend him on things. And, he's not been available. He's like literally sat out games at times. He's quit on games sometimes. Like there is some weird stuff that is going on. And I am somebody that's been paying attention to that. John Harrison adds to this conversation. He says, Lamar has never been a good team leader, late to meetings, etc. It's happened for years now. See, that's the thing. I don't know that to be certain. If that is true, then my opinion does change. Because right now, I am of the belief that he is a dedicated football player to his craft. I've had no reason to believe he's not a good leader. I've never actually known anything about Lamar to think he's not a real leader. I don't like the fact that him and his mom do his contracts and stuff like that. I think that's what it is. I know he's done his own contract. I'm not big on that stuff. I think professionals are professionals for a reason. And I'm not going to do my own surgery. You know what I mean, guys? If my heart was failing me, I'm not going to open up my own chest and, I'm just going to do this myself. No, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go to a surgeon. I'm going to go to a doctor. I think the same needs to be said. You need to have an agent. So that was always kind of weird to me about Lamar, but that's something that I can always just kind of overlook. But yeah, I had no reason to believe that. So if you're telling me something that is true, and we find that out to be factual, and maybe it is, that does change my viewpoint on Lamar as a leader, as a team guy. Kevin Cables gets back in here. He says Lamar throws his helmet whenever he makes a self-inflicted mistake. Not a good look to his teammates. That's their problem. Nah, I'm gonna have to disagree with you here, Kevin. And the reason why I disagree with you is because we've seen it's always a interesting perception, when it comes to this type of stuff, because I think it really comes down to how you're received by fans as a whole on moments like that. What do I mean by that? Well, if you saw Peyton Manning do that, I don't think we're sitting here talking about not being a good look. I think with that, we would look at that as, see, he knows he's owning it. He's frustrated, like he's a competitor. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we sometimes view these things a little bit differently through the lens of like who we're looking at. Because I remember when like Terrell Owens would be on the sidelines and you can't hear what he's saying, but you just see, his antics on the sideline, or like Des Bryant and guys like that. They're always like vocal, passionate, zealous kind of players. You're like, oh, look at this dude, man. He's all about himself. Fuck that guy. Like people would say those things. And then you get the mic'd up and Terrell Owens or Des Bryant would be sitting there going like, hey man, we're not far away. We're going to get the, like you can hear them rah on their team. But because of those guys being viewed the way they are, people just assume those guys are that, as opposed to this. So I'm not saying that it's always a good look that Lamar does that, but to me, if I'm a coach or I'm a fan of that team, I actually like that and respect that, because that shows me that dude gives a shit. Because if he just ran out the field with a smile on his face and just sat down and started joking with the fellas, that would piss me off. That would be the thing that I'd have to focus on. That's the thing that would raise the questions and the red flags to me. So I'm weird, maybe I'm different, but I've never looked at that stuff as a bad look. I've always looked at that as that's a dude that gives a fuck. He doesn't want to make that mistake. He cares because he knows he just screwed the team. That shows me, it's just something different. That's just my point of view. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that's just how I see it. That looks like it's the majority of the conversation, guys. It looks like the majority of the questions. We're an hour and 45 into the show. This has been awesome. I greatly appreciate all the questions, the comments, the concerns. If you guys would be so kind, I'd tell you the top, and I'll tell you at the bottom of the show here. If you'd be so kind, go to YouTube, go to the Spoken Podcast, hit subscribe, notify, share, like, all the cool stuff they got for you there, guys. A lot of stuff to push. The one I need you guys to push, though, the most consistent, is the comment button. I would greatly appreciate it, because we love it when you guys are a part of the chat, a part of the conversation. This is a community-driven show. I don't ever want to talk at you. I want to talk with you. I want to have conversations here. That's what the show's all about, and I want to keep it that way, because that's what you guys are actually looking for. You're not looking for people just to sit here and tell you how it is. You guys want to tell me how it is, man, I welcome it. If we disagree on something, great. Like, let's have that conversation. Let's get this stuff out so we can talk about it and, see what comes of it. That's what the beautiful thing about this, man. Real quick, I get this last because he's my guy, so I appreciate him. The young man in John Harrison. He brings this in. He goes, I've heard stories from coaches that were at hardball clinics during the training camp, what they saw during team meetings. Okay. Hey, you know what, John, you have information I didn't have. So if this stuff is true, then yeah, that's a bad look on Lamar. And I've been of the belief that they don't need to extend him. He's got 2 years left on his deal. I don't think he's going to age well. I think he's already aging badly. And I think it would be a bad decision on the Ravens' part if they gave him an extension on his already 2-year remaining deal, his contract. I just think that I think that after that 2 years, they need to reevaluate the quarterback position, and I think they should move on. I think he'll be 31 years old at that time. I don't think Lamar will be a great quarterback at that time. In fact, I don't think he's a great quarterback right now. He could be a great quarterback again, but I don't think his game will grow or age gracefully. I don't think Josh Allen's game will age gracefully. Those guys rely a lot on their athleticism. This is why I continue to say that now that Patrick Mahomes has suffered a real injury for the first time in his career, he needs to adjust his game. Now, I think Patrick relies more on his arm than those two guys, but he still relies a lot on his athleticism. And it's time for Patrick to make some adjustments as well, or his career will be a lot shorter lived than we expected or anticipated or wanted it to. So a lot of things are on the pike, man, as far as, what's going to happen to these guys' future. There's a lot of pressure on Josh Allen to get it done now that his dad, Patrick Mahomes, isn't in the playoffs for the first time. Let's see if he can get it done. There's, like I said, a lot of pressure on Josh because it's not so simple for Josh this time around, because Yeah, Patrick's not there, to end his season again for the fifth time. But Josh Allen's going to have to go on the road 3 times. And as I explained it to Trevor, because Trevor's very, he's saying that it's going to be hard for anybody to beat Josh Allen in the postseason now. I would agree with that in just a blanket statement. But because of the fact the Bills have a ass defense and rely so much on James Cook to get anything going offensively, if they face the Texans, if they face the Jaguars, they face the Patriots again, like, not only are they going to have to go on the road, but they're playing teams with far better defenses and, dare I say, better coaching. I think Sean McDermott's a fine coach, but every postseason we see it. Unless they're playing Skylar Thompson or rookie Bo Nix or Mac Jones, they don't put on a show. The Bills lose or win squeaking by in a close victory against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they've only dominated in the postseason when they're playing backup quarterbacks or rookie quarterbacks or both. So, I understand that, with Patrick being out of the postseason, it looks like, oh, the Bills could just go to the Super Bowl now. I don't think so. I think that with 3 road games to just get to the Super Bowl, I don't think that's going to be a reality. All right, guys, it is time for the final segment of the show. Just under 2 hours here. And I mean, the viewership's been insane tonight. I really appreciate all the comments, questions, everything. It's been awesome. But we have one more order of business to get to, and you know what it's called. Hold this L. Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports, whether those L's are friendly L's or not so friendly L's in the world of sports. We promise you, who's ever holding those L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the motherfucking world of sports. My L tonight goes to the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff. Now, I will preface this by saying that I, coming into this season, picked the Lions to go 10-7 and miss the playoffs. I said that Ben Johnson, losing him was going to be so significant for this team this season. Now, I think they will be able to bounce back after this season. They'll make the adjustment. But the season next, after losing such a great offensive mind, it's going to really hurt them this year. And there's been other factors as well. Their secondary has been terrible and banged up. They've lost, Sam Laporta in the middle of the season. There's been some things. But they had a golden opportunity on Christmas. A golden opportunity. If they won that game, there's a really good chance they make the playoffs still. And they lose to something called Max Brosmer, who had 9 completions for 51 yards. You would hear those stats and you think, oh, the Lions won like 38-6. Well, Jared Goff decided to have 5 turnovers. The Lions had 6 turnovers in the game, and Mr. Jared Goff had 5 of them. The same Jared Goff that's making $53 million this season. Abject failure. Abject failure. From Jared Goff to Campbell, Dan Campbell, all the guys. Every leader on this team, it is an abject failure what's happened. I think Aiden Hutchinson's done a damn good job this year. I think he has like 13 or 14 sacks. Another all-pro season for him since when he's healthy, he's, outside of Myles Garrett, probably the best pass rusher in the league. This team had all the goods, man. All the goods, but it shows you the value of a guy like Ben Johnson running your offense. It shows you that value, and their offense, although still very effective at times this season, looked like the rudderless ship sometimes when they faced really good teams, in particular really good defenses. I mean, the Packers clapped them in the first game of the season. The Chiefs held them to 17 points in the middle of the season, and then you saw the Vikings defense just absolutely embarrass them on television. So, with that, man, you know what? I have nothing else to say to the Lions and Jared Goff but to hold the cell. We appreciate it very much. Our guy ACU Misfit said, "Great show, Lance." No, great show to you guys, man. You guys are what makes this thing great. I am just a guy that sits here behind a mic and says a bunch of shit, and you guys bring the content. So we definitely appreciate it. Our guy John Harrison said DK Metcalf gets a big L too. Yeah, dude, you punch a grown man in a wig, you should get suspended. He got suspended 2 games, so that pretty much seals up his season. The Steelers, if they lose, they're gonna miss the playoffs probably. Well, maybe not. I mean, they'll probably still squeak into the playoffs, but not having your best receiver is going to hurt them drastically down this stretch. So, 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙺 Metcalf, who gets pissed when you call him 𝚂𝙿𝙾, dude, it's literally your name. You can't spell 𝚂𝙿𝙾 without DK, jackass. Yeah, but he can hold an L as well. But you know who's not holding an L tonight is you guys. Like I said, for the last better part of 2 hours, you've made this show so much fun for me. This is, I try to make this time of the year as good as I possibly can. Usually the Chiefs help me get through it. But it's always tough around this time of year, man, for a lot of people. And you guys are family to me, man. So I appreciate you guys making this time of year better for me. And I do think this is going to be a one-off type of year where the Chiefs, have a down season, but I think they're going to bounce back, man. And I have the solutions here. I think the Chiefs have the solutions there, and they're going to make the most of it, dude. And I think they'll be back. So we'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, we're going to continue to talk on this show, have great discussions as much as we possibly can. Continue to join us on Friday nights at 6:30 and join Shaggy and myself on Tuesday nights at the 65 Toss Power Talk Show. Had a really good conversation with Tanisha Mahomes and Linda Dorsey, who have the 3 Gyms and a Mic. Their own podcast is great as well. Tanisha gave us some really good insight on Patrick Mahomes and how he's doing. So that show is on our YouTube channel right below this video. So definitely go check that out, guys. It's well worth your time. I promise you. The ladies were amazing. We love them. We appreciate them. And I love and appreciate you guys as well. So with that, I hope you guys have all had a Merry Christmas. I hope you guys all have a safe, happy holidays, Happy New Year, all that shit. 2026 is going to be so much better. We're going to get this thing going, guys. Keep this bad boy rolling. Help us get this thing going on YouTube because we would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to get this bad boy rolling. Tell your friends about us. But in the meantime, for Trevor Tool's not here, the great Clay Windler that puts all this together on the back end of things, I'm Lance Twidwell. Episode 340 of the Spoken Podcast is done, finished, and finito, and we're done until we're back here in 1 week's time to talk about whatever the hell is going on in the world of sports and here in Kansas City. We out of this.